All right. Well, happy Wednesday. It is January 11th, 2023, our first Innovate BC webinar. And I cannot think of a better person to lead it, to start us off in a good way than our guest speaker, Loa. She's joining us from BC. So we're delighted. You guys are in for a treat. I always learn so much. I always feel empowered after listening to her. So I hope you do as well. So welcome, welcome. You know, this is an opportunity for you to just take in the knowledge, to be inspired, to build your own capacity. And that's what Can Do is all about, bringing in those opportunities for you, your organizations, the First Nations communities to build their own capacity, build what already that they know and have, and build on the strengths. So we're glad you're here. My name's Michelle. I'm joining from Amiskwaci, Waskagan, Edmonton, Alberta, Treaty 6 territory. We always love to hear where you're from. So take a moment. After you have a sip of water, put where you're joining from in the chat box. We always love to hear where you're joining from. You know, this has been a really amazing virtual community, a virtual family of just growing and learning together. So put where you're joining from. We'd love to hear from you. All right, before we get started, we always like to take a moment, take a deep breath. Maybe you want to close the eyes. Maybe you want to plant both feet on the floor. I just acknowledge the gift of this day, that when the sun rises in the east, that's Creator meeting us for another day. We have another opportunity to laugh, love, play, grow, train, build, dream. So Creator has just given us another day to walk our path, to walk our truth. So we just want to take a moment to honor, acknowledge the gift that this moment, that this day has given to us. So we give thanks to Creator for all of the gifts that are surrounding us, the gift of lands, the gift of the beautiful sacred waters, the gift of the animals, the gift of the two-legged, so your family, your chosen family. So you are surrounded by Creator's goodness. We never walk alone in Creator's world. So thank you, Creator. All right. So we are here. You are here because of our guest speaker. I think that this is a really great webinar to start off the new year with, developing a business case. So a little bit about our guest speaker today. She has 20 plus years of entrepreneurial marketing, technology, and sales expertise. And through her marketing agency, which is called Activate. So she's probably going to tell us a little bit about what she's doing, what's happening in her world. She's also consults for emerging private and public companies, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, and not-for-profit organizations in Canada. She also works with progressive Indigenous communities in BC. I believe she's joining us from Vancouver today. So she's passing along marketing, digital media, and sales knowledge to Indigenous entrepreneurs who want to start and grow companies that they are passionate about. And let me tell you, she is passionate about what she brings to the table. You will see. She's got great personality, great energy. She created a 15-course business training program that gives Indigenous adults and youth the professional and personal development tools and skills needed to succeed in today's digital economy. I am all for that, Loa. And you know what? She's bringing good new content today. This is a new workshop. So how honored are we to be able to take this in? So Loa, we welcome you. We're so honored that you are here. You've cut out an hour of your time to just bring your good energy, your good knowledge, your resources. So thank you for being here. So I'm passing this virtual mic to Loa, and y'all are in for a treat. So welcome, welcome. Here we go, Loa.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It's so nice to be here with you, starting this new year off together. And we're going to be discussing a topic that is very topical, especially as Michelle said, for the new year, because I'm sure we all have a lot of business growth in mind, and how are we going to go about achieving the things we want to achieve in our businesses. So first, I just want to say thank you so much, Michelle, for that very warm welcome. You always bring such positive vibes to every single session that I've ever attended with you. You just really know how to warm up a room. So thank you for that. And I also want to say I am super grateful to be able to live, work, and play on the traditional gorgeous territories of the Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, and Squamish people. I'm located here in near downtown Vancouver, near downtown. So it's just really great to be here. And we're going to be talking about developing a business case. So I'm super interested to see where you're all at with this and what your experience has been like so far. So if you can, first of all, before we do the poll, can you put your LinkedIn address in the chat? Because as I'm sure we can all relate to this, that success, a big part of that comes from building a really great network, right? Because with a good network of people, doors often will be open. So let's all stay in touch after this webinar and not just make it a one and done. And so put your LinkedIn address in the chat so we can all connect with each other and stay connected. Okay, and I'd like to know, so where are you from? So if you can put your name and where you're, as Michelle asked you a little bit earlier, where are you calling in from? And then one extra little thing I would like you to do is add an emoji on how you're feeling right now. Okay, everybody? Let's see. What's everybody doing with our IC? Okay, there's Elsie. Thank you, Elsie. Ken, Ontario. Okay, here's my LinkedIn and here's my emoji. And I'm obviously in Vancouver, as I just mentioned. There's my emoji. So I'm feeling pretty upbeat, especially with that warm introduction from Michelle. Laura, great, thank you. Paul, Yellowknife, excellent. Melissa, oh, hi, Melissa. Nice to see you. Michelle, thanks, Michelle. Good emoji, love it. Laura is in Edmonton. She's ready to party. I like it. Oh, it looks like we've got some good energy in the room. I love it. Okay, good. And make sure your LinkedIn addresses, everybody. Oh, Priya, I'm sorry to hear. It looks like it's a bit of a challenge today. Well, hopefully we can help to bring up your spirits. Hard day at work. I get that. Totally get that. Okay, Toronto. Hi, Jake in Toronto. Woo, woo, Toronto in the house. Okay. Well, thank you for those of you who put all your information in the chat. Appreciate that. So today we are going to talk about how to build a business case. We're going to look at what is the purpose of a business case and why do we need one. We will go over the structure of what typically goes in a business case, and that often starts off with an executive summary. We're all probably somewhat familiar with what an executive summary is, but we'll talk about what that looks like for a business case. Then we're going to talk about what is the problem that you want to solve or the opportunity that is presented on why you want to create a business case. Then we'll look at what are the stakeholders typically in a situation like this? Who are they and what do they look like? Then we'll also talk about the benefits, and we'll look at some examples of how the project or the new piece of business is going to be able to benefit the company. Because anytime we are using a business case, typically what we're looking to do is get buy-in and approval from management, right? Or if we're launching a new business ourselves, we want to figure out, is this a go or no go? Does it make sense? Also, in a business case, we have to include the cost benefit analysis and show what the risks are. I've included in this overall slide deck a template towards the end. I don't know if we're going to have time to do a case study all together, but I'm going to show you some examples, and then you can use the template after in order to create your next business case to help you make it easier for you. And hopefully everybody has put their LinkedIn address in the chat. Okay, so now let's do a poll just to see where everybody's at in relation to this topic. Elsie, if you wouldn't mind, can you, here we go. Okay, so if everybody can answer, quick question, what do you currently do to gain approval on projects internally? Or if you're an entrepreneur, what do you typically do if you have a project or a new business you want to launch and you want to figure out if it makes sense? So if everybody can please choose their answer. Elsie, just, it looks like it hasn't, is it submitted? Elsie? Can everybody see that okay? Yeah, Michelle? Because so far I haven't seen anybody answer. Elsie, you there?
I see answers on my end. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Elsie.
Oh, I was going to say on my end, I don't see anything either, but on this other, on Tara's, we do.
Oh, isn't that strange? Okay, so well, hopefully everybody's been able to answer the question. And then Elsie, if you wouldn't mind launching the answer, that would be great.
Okay. So we had 7 responses.
Okay, perfect.
3 of 7 answered A. 1 of 7 answered that they've never done a case before, and then 3 answered other.
Okay, perfect. Interesting. That what is the other? Whoever answered other, what's your other? Tara, was that you?
Other from Hopeton, chief and council usually.
Oh, okay, got it. That makes sense. Thank you. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. So it looks like almost, yeah, about 43% speak to approving manager and send an email briefly. That's very typical. B is create a project case based on a Google. Nobody did a Google search? Google is my go-to. 14% said haven't done a business case at all. Okay, good. And then others go to chief and council. Totally makes sense. It was one of the responses. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Okay, so exactly what is a business case? Well, it's essentially a strategic document that gives context to whatever change you want to make in your business, whether you want to solve a particular problem and increase efficiencies, or perhaps you're looking to launch a new product or a new business. So what the document has in it is essentially a 1 to 2 page, and it has the project goals, the benefits and outcomes, the costs, the risks, the options that you have available, whether that's option A is to do the ideal, or option B is no go or do nothing and just stick with the status quo. Or perhaps there's a third option that is maybe the absolute ideal, but perhaps not the total reality for the situation where you're at now. And also timelines need to be, it needs to be shown what the timelines and the high level plan are to be able to convince your stakeholders. So typically that's going to be management of the value of the project itself so that they can make a really clear decision of a go or no go. But hopefully if you do a really good business case and you really show the value of it, then the idea is you just want to make it easy for your approving manager or chief and council to say, yeah, let's do this. So that they don't have to go and research and do any additional information to figure out if it's going to how much it's going to benefit the organization versus what resources are going to be applied to it. And then the second thing a business case does is it identifies the project's objectives and how it fits in with the organization's larger goals and mission. The third main thing that it does is it provides an analysis and recommendations with various options. So as I mentioned, either solution A, which is like the one that you think makes the most sense to go with, or perhaps it's B, a more ideal solution, but maybe more pricey to implement, or a do nothing, which is stick with the status quo. And the reason why you want to show options is because it's important to know, to give management a really clear picture of what different ways you could either solve the problem or gain the opportunity. So here's the steps when you're looking at the problem or opportunity statement that you need to make first and foremost in your executive summary. Your executive summary is typically what's going to encompass the overall project plan in whether it's depending on the size of the project. If you're launching a new business, obviously your business case is going to be more in depth. But if you're doing a new project, like perhaps your organization, you want to buy 5 new computers and have that the new system implemented, well, that would be more of a project-based case study. So then you could probably do a 1-pager on that, right? So essentially, what is the question number 1? What is the problem that you want to solve or the opportunity that exists? So what's the situation we want to change in the business? Why do we want to change it? So it's important that there's a really clear statement of why this makes sense. Like if it's a old computer system that you're using, well, obviously that's slowing people down, and perhaps it's costing more in IT support, and you just want to increase and enhance efficiencies in your organization. So that's a pretty good why. And what will happen if we don't move forward with this particular project? Well, status quo is, you stick with old, outdated system that just doesn't allow you to do a lot of automation and to free up a lot of your staff's time so that they can go and focus on stuff that's more beneficial to member services, for example, if you're a First Nation community or ECDEV. Okay, so first you have to figure out what is your company's mission and how does this project fit into your mission? And then what is the problem or the opportunity? So if we look at, for example, Candu's mission is if they want to and do a new computer system, so in alignment with Candu's mission to support capacity building, Candu intends to purchase and implement new computers, creating efficiencies through new tech, freeing up time to focus on member service delivery versus admin and IT support. Okay, the next section is you need to make sure that you have your company overview. So again, the mission of the organization, who is it and what is it that you're looking to achieve? Where are you now and where do you want to end up? So what is the ultimate vision? So just like the can-do statement that I read, what is the goal that you want to achieve for this particular project? And how does it fit into the bigger picture for your organization? So your executive summary is typically written last after you've done all your research and your due diligence and know who's who, what all the resources are. You've done any sort of vendor communication if you need to bring other people in. So you just really have a really good overview of what it is that you're going to be asking for in your business case and how it's going to fit in with the overall goals of your organization. So for example, Candu's mission is to build capacity, which strengthens Indigenous economies by providing programs and services to economic development officers. So does buying a new computer system and investing in automation, does that fit in with their mission of being able to deliver fantastic services and programs to economic development officers? Do you guys think it fits? Yeah, it would definitely fit in, right? Because the more efficient an organization is, the more it's going to free up time for staff to be able to focus on delivery of services. Okay, so then the next section is who are your stakeholders? So stakeholders are going to be, first of all, for the business case, they're going to be a sponsor. So who is it that's initiating the case? So that could be either an executive, or it could be a council member, or it could be you. It could be somebody who's managing a particular department. And then the second thing is who's the project manager? So who is it that's going to be putting this whole case together, who's going to be doing the research to find out all the different moving parts and who's going to be managing the project once it's been approved. And then the end user, who are the users that you're going to need to consider in the project? So it's going to be the end users, whoever is going to be using the project, or whether it's a new computer system, then it's going to be staff, internal staff that will be using the computers, or perhaps it's an external product launch that your company's doing, or maybe your nation is building a new business or a new business arm. So if you're launching a new product, then that's going, the end users, for example, will be external. That'll be customers. Okay, so then the next step is, what is your proposed solution? So you have your the outline of your project. So management can see, okay, yeah, this is what the project manager wants to implement. This is why. This is what. This is who is involved and who their stakeholders are. And this is the problem or the opportunity that's presented. So then the next is, what are their proposed solutions? So what's the ideal solution and expected outcome? What are the options that we have to achieve this goal? What if we do nothing? Then what happens? Perhaps if we do nothing and we stick with the equipment we have, perhaps then we're not as efficient and we're going to be spending more time on admin as everything's becoming more automated. So that would be the cost of doing nothing. What resources do we have to put towards it? So resources would be both human resources, so the people that you need to be involved in the project in order to make it successful, as well as the capital. So if you're investing in a capital project, perhaps new machinery for your company, or perhaps you're launching a new business and you're opening up, for example, a gas or charging station for the nation, then that's going to obviously require capital investment, right? So that needs to be included in the project description. What are the costs? And then what's the timeline on implementation? So what are we looking at? What kind of resources is it going to take internally to execute on the project? And then how is success going to be measured? So what are all the various milestones that this project is going to go through, so that you know how to measure success? And then ultimately, what does success look like for the project? So some business case benefit examples would be financially. So either new revenue is generated, or there's a reduction in cost and increased profit margin. Or if it's operational, it could be improved efficiencies within your operations, a reduction in product time to get to market. It could be enhanced quality of existing products or services. Or if it's an external product, it could be increasing market awareness, greater market share, additional competitive advantages. Perhaps it's customer centric. So then it would be that means improving customer satisfaction, improving customer retention. Could be also member satisfaction for those of you communicating with the First Nation community. Or it also could be greater customer or member loyalty. Then if it's staff, obviously that's going to be an internal project. So it could be increasing staff satisfaction by just making their lives easier day to day, improved organizational culture. So maybe with this new project will just help to bring everybody closer together and just get everybody on the same page and excited. Perhaps that would be a good case for that would be to do like some kind of a staff retreat, right? If you're doing a project like that. Or longer staff retention is another way to show benefits where staff is concerned. Okay, so how's everybody doing with the information so far? Does it make sense? Everybody, can you give me a thumbs up? So I can't see anybody, so. Or any questions so far? Yeah, thumbs up. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Jake. Ken, thank you. Good stuff. Margaret, excellent. Okay, good. Just want to touch base and make sure I'm not kind of going off in la la land here and everybody's with me. All right, so the next section in your business case is going to be to identify the objectives and any potential risks. So how is your business case, how is this project going to create positive change? Just like I said, with the benefits that we looked at, all the different areas that you could be showing the benefits, that would be considered a positive change, right? What risks are involved in the project? So for example, if you're rolling out a new piece of technology, you're going to need to get everybody paddling the canoe in the same direction, right? So everybody has to be engaged. You need to let the staff know what's going on, for example, how the new computer equipment is going to benefit their job, their particular roles, how they're going to be trained to use it so that they don't feel like they're kind of lost in space and not really understanding maybe a new system that's implemented. So just really getting buy-in from all stakeholders, and that includes your end users, which would be your staff. So a risk would be, what if you invest in all this great new tech, but it's not fully utilized to really optimize the reason why you're buying it? So that would be considered a risk, or any pushback on change. Whenever we are encouraging change within an organization, it's always going to have some kind of challenges, because human beings, we don't like a lot of change. We like to know what's coming next. If we have a certain role that we fill in our jobs and we're used to using certain tech or certain processes, including something new, it is challenging for people. So you really need to make sure that everybody's on board with this project and get buy-in from all levels. And make sure that there's really good, you've got a really good plan in place to implement it. And so these are the types, so make sure that you, in your project case, you know what kind of challenges you've thought ahead, and you know what kind of risks there potentially are, so that then you could come up with a plan on how you're going to get around those challenges. So when management looks and says, oh, hey, these are right away sees some potential risks, don't worry. Don't worry, Chief and Counsel, here's exactly the plan on how we're going to get around those challenges. So then again, it just makes it easier for them to say yes. So here's a few examples with, if we're going to talk about implementing and automating a system internally as an example. So let's take as a simple project. A lot of the courses that I teach for my First Nation clients, a lot of times the administrator is actually taking the registration. So an ad goes out on social media that there's a new course, entrepreneurial course, for example, and then there's a link to either email the person who's taking the administration or call them. Well, that is super labor intensive, because not only does the person need to do each registration individually, but then they have to enter all the data into their Excel spreadsheet, right? So that is quite a labor intensive process, but it also happens to be the status quo still for many First Nation communities. So the next level up to that in terms of automating some of your systems, and let's take course registration as an example for education and training, you could be using an online registration form like JotForm, which is a system that allows you to create your ad and have a link on your ad that opens up a registration form that a person that's interested can then enter all their information. And plus you can also get extra data on them to really understand who your audience is and where they're at in their learning journey. And so then that once they submit the form, then their information goes into an Excel spreadsheet online that you can download and then upload into your CRM, customer relationship management program. So that just creates, instead of doing each registration individually, now it's done all at once. The online process does it for you. And now you have all of the data and information on your people to use once they show up for the course. So that's another level of automation. And then so let's say that's the ideal scenario because it's the easiest to implement at this stage, okay? Because the JotForm registration already exists online as an app. So the next phase would be full automation. So this is getting a little more technical, a little bit more technical integration from not only IT support, but also the users internally for your staff, is if you were to go with a full customer relationship management system that has registration app built into it. So then what happens is through your CRM system, you create the ad and you put that link out in your ad. That link opens up the form, is already attached to your CRM system, and then all the information that a person registers gets automatically downloaded into your CRM. So that just basically from start A to Z, full automation, right? So you don't even have to, as an administrator taking registrations, you don't have to lift a finger. It's all done. But that's going to take more of a larger IT project to make that happen. So let's say ideally your solution is number 2. It's an easy transition from your Excel, taking registrations on Excel, only it automates the process to the degree that you don't have to individually take each person's information. Okay, so that would be 3 examples. So factor, and then you need to have, what are your 3 facts on why each option would be a workable option or not. So solution 1 is status quo, where the person signs up with a PDF, which goes to or phones in, which goes to the administrator. So the administrator opens the information, enters the data in their Excel files, and does whatever else they need to do with the data, has to enter it into their CRM program. So this is a very labor intensive process on both sides, both from the user side as well as the staff member, the administrator side. So ideally, easy solution to create automation, use the online form. Hi, Melissa, 1 sec, I'll get right to you, thank you. And register with so get the link, put it in your ad, the person registers through the online process, and then you as the administrator can just download the entire registration sheet in Excel, right? Which saves you time and saves you money as an administrator, where you're not having to do this whole process that usually is going to take you probably a few hours, right? So you save yourself that time that week. So it creates a better user experience from your person who's signing up for your course, and it gives you a lot more time to focus on other tasks that are maybe more profit driven, or where you can create better services for your members. Okay, Melissa, did you want to ask a question? Are you there? Oh.
Yes, sorry about that. I had to mute. So we do use Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah.
We use it for our leases and subleases, etc.
Yeah.
So, and it's really cumbersome. We want to move away from it, basically. Yeah. And so this jot form thing, I've never used it before, but with the jot form though. So if we already have existing Excel spreadsheets, can we upload those existing spreadsheets into jot form?
So I don't think so. What you would need to do, because jot form has, it's basically like a drag and drop, where you drag and drop different aspects of to create your own template. So what you can do is, based on how your Excel file operates, you can mimic it. So you just have to go into jot form and figure out what fields you want, and then what different, there's different templates as well for design, from a design perspective, what fields, what information you want to collect.
So you'd basically have to like create it.
You would, yes. That I know of right now, I don't think you can just upload your Excel file, because you would need to tell the, like you could put an Excel file on your Google Drive, for example, right? But then it just is not, it's not as robust as if you were to have a proper form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
You might want to look into that a little more. Maybe Jotform has that capability. I just haven't done that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, well, like, which one do you would you, is the CRM system or the Jotform? Which one do you think is better?
So ideally, you guys would have a full customer relationship management program, which is all hosted in the cloud, which has all of your contacts for all of your audiences, as well as who is who, so that everybody's labeled, and you can easily create lists. And then you can also do forms. And so a whole registration process through your CRM would be ideal, because again, it just automates the whole entire process, as opposed to Jotform's like the second level above, like above doing it all yourself in Excel. So this would be the ideal solution, but as I mentioned, it's a bigger project to incorporate a full CRM system within your organization, get everybody on board using it. It's ideally the way you want to go.
So you'd have to create the database first for.
Well, you probably already have the database. So you have a list of all your contacts, right? For your organization. So you would then, once you open your CRM, you create it through like HubSpot, for example. You could even start using HubSpot. They have a freemium program just to start checking it out and seeing how it works for you. And it does so much more than just hold your data, your customer membership data though. And that's what I mean, going fully automated. Like you could set up your lists in there of all your different audiences. You could easily email each list on whether it's your youth or whether it's your vendors or whether it's your members, on different events. It just streamlines everything, and it holds all the information in the cloud and makes just almost everything you need to do automated. So that's why it's so powerful, but it is definitely a big project. Yeah, because you would have to import all of your people into the CRM, and then you would need to go and organize all the data. Who's who? I mean, you could do that as well in Excel. Have, okay, these are our youth. These are our partners. These are our members. Yeah. So you could just import that field as well, which will already label everybody.
So you can import Excel?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Okay. So I guess we better keep going, because as usual, an hour goes by so fast. But thank you, Melissa, for that wonderful question. Okay. So then if we look at this example, solution 2 is probably going to be especially if you have an immediate need to do a registration and get people into one of your courses, for example, that you're offering through your nation, then Jotform is the easiest way to go for your first level of automation. Okay, if you're still kind of doing things old school. So that's just a really good example. And you guys, you can look at the other factors as well, but there's always, you need to back up whatever your project is. You need to show the options and what the facts are behind those options. Okay, so the next is resources and timelines. So what resources are you going to need in order to implement your project successfully? And what's the timeline going to be on that? So I've created a really simple chart here. So for example, resources required, if we use the same example as I did initially with Candu, let's say Candu's buying some new computer equipment. So their capital investment is, let's say 5 new computers. That's a new computers for Elsie and Danielle and Tara and the crew. Who doesn't love a spanking new piece of technology? So we would, let's say 10,000, right? Everybody gets an Apple laptop. So let's say 10 G's, around two grand per computer, okay, for 5 people. So what's our resources? Well, we need 10 G's in financial resources. And then our human resources, we need our internal IT support to network everybody and make sure all the software is up and running on their systems and that there's no bugs, right? And then the next human resource that's required is that the end users, so the staff, are all adequately trained on knowing how to use their new tech and any systems or software that also is loaded onto the new computers. And then what is the timeline on the project? Well, let's say it's going to go in 2 phases. Phase 1, week 1 to 3, researching ideal vendors to figure out where we're going to buy the computers from, who's going to give us the best deal, who's going to give us the best support, secure the best product and price and make the purchase in week 1 to 3. And then weeks 3 to 8, let's say we want this project to be all wrapped up within a couple months. So from 3 to 8, we're going to phase 2, where we're going to receive the product, have IT start to set everything up and network the systems, do all the testing, train staff on the new systems and software, and figure out what scheduling you're going to do with that. And so that would be your timeline. And then off you go. 2 months later, you've got a new system and everybody's happy. And so what are the milestones throughout this period? Well, the milestones are going to include your goals and your objectives initially, developing the project deliverables. So at each stage, what are you hoping to achieve? For example, acquiring the resources, getting project approval, getting the project plan also approved, having the project kickoff meeting, going into phase 1 complete, and then completing that, phase 2 and completing that, and then having your full project completion with all your milestones having been achieved. Okay, so when you lay all this out on a 1-pager for your management, or if you're doing it for yourself, if you're launching a new product for your company, then it's as I said, if it's a computer capital investment, you can probably do that on 1 page. But if it's going to be a larger project or a larger business that you're doing, like a business case of launching a new gas station for your nation, that's going to require a lot deeper levels of information, not a full business plan, but enough to show that the go forward plan is workable, so that management sees, okay, they've done the adequate research to know that this is a viable option. So whether it's a small project or a big one, you always have to include the financial assessment and do the cost benefit analysis. So if we take the cost benefit analysis on a new computer system, 5 new computers, okay, it's not always easy to show financial benefits on IT investment, because it's more typically efficiencies that are created, as opposed to if you're selling a new product, you go, okay, I've sold 10 widgets, we now have $1,000 to show for that. It's a little bit tougher with IT, but I think we're all pretty much aware that the more efficient your IT services are, that allows you to focus on stuff other than strictly admin. That means you can focus on projects that really advance the organization. And so, but if you did want to try and put a dollar figure to IT, for the sake of efficiency, let's look at it this way. So new computer system, 10,000. Hourly staff rates, let's say each staff member makes $30 an hour. Let's say that this new IT system, new computers, is going to save each person 5 hours a week in administration that they would normally be spending either fighting with their old computer, or getting IT to fix something for them, or even just not having everything automated, so they have to spend more time doing things kind of old school. Okay, so let's go 5 hours, 5 employees. That means we could potentially be looking at a return, financial return, savings of $750 a week per person, which could then equate to approximately $3,000 a month in savings, just on creating efficiencies where the staff members, instead of focusing on having to do so much admin or computer support, they can just be taking that time and putting it into profit generating activities, or generating ideas to make the organization, projects to make the organization stronger. So if you look at these economics, then the payback period is going to be approximately just shy of 3 months, just a little bit over 3 months. So that's a pretty good, that's a pretty good payback, right? Because we know it could be even better depending on how much automation is happening and how much time is being saved for each staff member. but that gives you a bit of an idea in terms of how to do a cost benefit analysis. And as I said, if you have a new business or a new product and you're doing the business case on, then it's going to be easier to show the financial rewards, right? Because if you sell a widget, well, there it is. There's the sale of the widget. But we all know IT is pretty crucial these days. Okay, so here's another business case that I will I've included in your slide deck that you'll all receive after this presentation, so that you can go through it yourself, just to get another idea of what another templated project business case could look like. And on a large project, like if you're launching a new business or you're launching a new product, then you would also include in your template, you would include a SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the new business or the new product. And you would also include a scaled down version of your marketing plan. Again, because you want to do basically a 1 to 2 pager and really show how, make it easy for management to go, okay, this is an opportunity, no brainer. I see all the, here's all the facts, and here's what it'll cost, and here's the return, and let's do it. And here's who's going to implement it. And it just looks like a really solid plan of action. Okay, so new business launch example case. For example, if your nation's thinking about launching or wants to include a new business on nation land, perhaps instead of a gas station, maybe it's a gas station / charging station, right? With all EV vehicles being released now, but there will still be gas vehicles for a little while. But perhaps your nation has a busy highway intersection running through it where you have an opportunity to capture customers there, which is kind of a no-brainer because they're just having to pass through that region, that intersection. So maybe you're going to build a charging station / gas station and a convenience store. Okay, so then you're going to be able to generate revenues, provide jobs, build a new brand for your nation, a new business brand. What are the assets, resources that you have? You have an ideal location on a busy highway. The town, say the largest or the biggest town is 15 clicks away. Retail staff that can work in the store, the gas station, live close to the area, and you've got potential grant funding from the government. Okay, so those would be some significant assets and resources that you could showcase. Ideas would be, as I said, a gas / charging station store, having maybe a little cafe or a restaurant included. Who is the closest competition? So this is where you'd have to do a SWOT analysis. So let's say closest competition is Chevron with the Tim Hortons 100 clicks away. So that shows that there's quite an opportunity there for you to launch a new nation business. And then what are the challenges? What are the risks? So time and expertise to write a business plan, get funding, staff to implement the plan. Okay, but of course, when you're talking about the revenue that's being generated, the jobs that are being built, you'd need to do adequate research to show what the realities are of that and the outcomes, what they could be. Okay, so I've created a simple project template for you, a business case template that you can use with your staff or yourself and your partner, whoever it is that you're doing the business case for. And so you want to detail the scope of the project. So what is the change you want to make in the business and why? What's the product or service? What are the benefits? What are the opportunities and the outcomes sought for the project? What are all your options? Label, it's best to have at least 2 options. So the realistic one, the very super ideal one, and then the status quo. If you're doing a new business, what's your market competition? What are they up to? What's the risk assessment on the project? So what are all the potential challenges and how are you going to get around it? Who are the stakeholders? What's the timeline and budget that you're going to implement this project? How much is it going to cost? Or what human resources are you going to need to put towards it? What's the implementation plan? How are you going to roll out the project? And what's the marketing plan if it's a new business? And then what are all your success milestones so that you can keep track of success as you're going and fine tune any areas that you may need to while it's in progress. Okay, so in summary, create a fantastic outline for project of your project so that management can see it and know it's a no-brainer. It's you definitely done all your homework and you've got all the right people paddling in the same direction, right? And then address what the problem is that you want to solve or the opportunity that is existing. And then what are the solutions? How are you going to achieve that? And what are the benefits? What are the outcomes? What do those look like? Really paint a clear picture for the approving management. And then what's the implementation plan? What are your milestones? How are you going to measure them? And if all else fails, go to Google and get a whole bunch of other case studies based on what it is you want to do. Because Google usually does not disappoint. Okay, and then get approval. Yay! And that about wraps up the content. But if anybody wants to, I'd love to hear what some of your projects are that you have in mind, and let's do a little mini case study. Does anybody have anything in mind right now that they're thinking of doing? Chat. What we got?
Mahopton here, doing some pro bono work with a First Nation who would like to look at a social enterprise.
Oh, nice.
Based on entrepreneurial, financial literacy, etc. We're just in the beginning stages of thinking it. And as part of that social enterprise, they'd like to do Indigenous small business, tourism, entrepreneurship stuff, and one of the highways that pass through the community. So that's what we're looking at.
That's fantastic, Hopton. And it sounds like it just is perfectly aligned with some of the examples that I gave. That's wonderful.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yay.
it is.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing. So Hopton, if you take that template that you're going to receive through the slide deck when it's emailed out to you after this, then you can just start sitting down with your team and just do a little mini workshop and on the whiteboard, start filling in all the template areas, because that will make it a lot easier once you're doing all the brainstorming to then figure out where are the holes that need to be filled. And then once you have all your data and your information and your facts, then you can put it into the one-page template document, and away it goes to management and to chief and council.
Mm-hmm. Yes, good. And I'll be in Vancouver for the Can Do conference. So if you're hanging around,
oh, that would be so nice.
Say hi.
I would love that. I would love that. I am planning on going. I just have to figure out if my schedule is going to allow me to do that, but I'm working on it. And
Sounds
I would love to see you and say hello.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thanks a bunch.
You're so welcome. My pleasure. And does anybody else have any questions? Don't see any? No? Okay. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here today and for being a part of this workshop. And please do reach out and keep in touch, and let's all connect on LinkedIn. Actually, Elsie, do you mind sending the chat as well to everybody so we all have each other's LinkedIn addresses and can follow up?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Loa. You know, I feel like this is a very timely webinar. I was just, chatting about this the other day, and one of my mentors says, I think you need to kind of relook your business plan and strategy and case. So this was awesome for me. So I hope it was awesome for all of you. I think this was a really good resource, got things turning up here and in here. So thank you so much for bringing your knowledge to the table. Thank you all for joining us. This is a good opportunity to know that we do not walk alone. There's opportunity spaces where we can network. And so I love that you bring LinkedIn into the mix. So, but be sure to follow her. She posts a lot of valuable information on LinkedIn. I forgot my address every single time. I forget my handle there, but I'm on LinkedIn as well. And follow Can Do on LinkedIn. They're there too. So thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. We hope to see you again where we have our webinars. Links to Learning is on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. And then Innovate BC is Wednesdays, 3 p.m. That's Mountain Standard Time. So thanks for joining us. And you all will receive this in your email, so you'll have access to all that she shared this afternoon. So thank you so much, Loa. It's always an honor and a pleasure to have you here. So be well, everyone, and we'll see you again soon. Peace.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.